Max was not just any dog, he was family. The golden retriever had been with the Millers for years, always loyal, always loving. He watched over their home, played gently with Emily, and never left Sarah's side when she was feeling down. But lately, something was different. Max had started sneaking out of the backyard at night. At first, John thought nothing of it, maybe Max was just chasing squirrels or exploring. But then, something strange happened. One morning, Sarah walked into the living room and froze. There, curled up in Max's dog bed, was a tiny kitten. Its fur was matted, and it shivered against Max's warm body. Max looked up at Sarah with pleading eyes, as if asking her not to take it away. By the next morning, there were 2 kittens. Then 3. John checked with the neighbors, but no one was missing kittens. Where was Max finding them? And why was he bringing them home? Emily, only 10 years old, was fascinated. She sat by Max, watching how gently he nuzzled the kittens, how he licked their tiny heads as if they were his own. "He's protecting them," she whispered. But from what? Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something bigger was going on. Max wasn't just playing rescuer, he was desperate. And that meant there was something out there, something Max knew they needed saving from. The Millers didn't know it yet, but their faithful dog was on a mission. And soon, they would discover the heartbreaking truth behind his actions. The Millers wanted to do the right thing. They asked around the neighborhood, knocking on doors and posting online, but no one claimed the kittens. No one had even seen a stray mother cat nearby. It was as if the tiny creatures had appeared out of nowhere. Max, however, seemed to know exactly where they came from. He refused to leave their side, curling his body around them to keep them warm. He licked their fur, nudged them gently when they squeaked, and even pushed his food bowl toward them, as if trying to feed them. Sarah watched in concern. "What if he's taking them from their mother?" she asked John one evening. "What if some poor cat is out there, searching for her babies?" John wasn't sure. Then why hasn't anyone come looking? And why does Max act so protective? Emily, sitting on the floor beside Max and the kittens, shook her head. "He wouldn't steal them. He's saving them." But saving them from what? As the days passed, Max grew more restless. At night, he paced near the back fence, his ears twitching at every little sound. Sometimes, he let out soft, anxious whines, staring into the darkness beyond their yard. Then, one evening, their neighbor, Mr. Thompson, stormed over. "Your dog's been sneaking around at night," he said angrily. "I saw him running off toward the old abandoned house down the street. If he's stealing people's pets, you need to stop him." John frowned. "Max wouldn't do that." "Well, something's not right," Mr. Thompson huffed. "If I catch him sneaking around again, I'll report it." Sarah looked at Max, who sat beside the kittens, his eyes full of silent determination. Could Mr. Thompson be right? Was Max really taking these kittens from somewhere he shouldn't? John sighed. "Maybe we should take them to the animal shelter. If they belong to someone, at least they'll be safe there." Emily's eyes filled with tears. "No. Max brought them here because he knew they needed help. If we take them away, what if something bad happens?" A heavy silence filled the room. No one knew what to do. That night, Max didn't wait for the Millers to decide. He slipped out of the yard again, vanishing into the darkness. Emily, unable to sleep, peeked out the window and saw him disappear toward the old house Mr. Thompson had mentioned. Her heart pounded. She had to find out the truth. Tomorrow, she would follow Max and uncover the secret he had been hiding. Emily couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Max and the kittens. Deep down, she knew Max wasn't a thief. He was trying to help, but no one understood why. She had to find out the truth. That night, she stayed awake, waiting for Max to make his move. Around midnight, she heard the soft creak of the back door. Carefully, she slipped out of bed and peeked through the window. Max was heading toward the fence, moving quietly, his body low to the ground. Emily grabbed a flashlight and followed him, making sure to stay hidden. She watched as Max squeezed through a small gap in the fence and trotted down the dark alleyway. Her heart pounded as she crept behind him, careful not to make a sound. Max led her to an old, abandoned shed near the end of the street. It was broken down, its wooden walls rotting, and the roof had holes where the moonlight streamed in. Emily held her breath as she saw Max slip inside through a gap in the door. She hesitated for a moment, then pushed the door open just enough to peek inside. What she saw made her gasp. In the dim light, she spotted a mother cat lying in the corner. She was barely moving, her breathing slow and weak. Her fur was dirty and thin, and she looked too exhausted to even lift her head. Around her, the remains of an old blanket served as a poor excuse for a nest. Emily's eyes widened as she realized the truth: this cat was the real mother of the kittens Max had been bringing home. Max walked over to her and gently nudged her with his nose. She let out a faint meow but didn't move. Emily's heart ached. The poor cat was too sick to care for her babies. She must have been starving, too weak to hunt for food. That's why Max had been sneaking out every night. He wasn't stealing the kittens. He was saving them. One by one, he had carried them home, knowing that if he left them behind, they wouldn't survive. Tears welled up in Emily's eyes. Max had known all along. He had seen the mother cat struggling, unable to care for her babies, and had done the only thing he could: he had taken the kittens somewhere safe. Emily knew she had to help. She rushed forward, kneeling beside the mother cat. She gently stroked her frail body. "It's okay," she whispered. "We'll take care of you." Max wagged his tail, his eyes full of trust. He had done his part. Now, it was Emily's turn to make sure the mother cat and her kittens got the help they needed. Without wasting a second, she scooped the weak cat into her arms and hurried back home. The truth was finally out, and now, she had to make things right. Emily ran home as fast as she could, her heart pounding. Tears streamed down her face as she burst through the front door. "Mom! Dad!" she cried. Max wasn't stealing the kittens, he was saving them. "Their mother is sick. She's too weak to take care of them." John and Sarah rushed to her side, their eyes widening when they saw the frail mother cat in Emily's arms. Her breathing was shallow, and she barely moved. "We need to help her," Emily pleaded. Without hesitation, Sarah grabbed a blanket and gently wrapped the cat in it. John picked up the phone and called the vet. Within minutes, they were on their way to the clinic, with Max following closely behind. At the vet's office, Dr. Roberts examined the mother cat. His face grew serious. "She has a severe infection. If she had been left out there much longer, she wouldn't have survived." Emily sniffled. "Can she be saved?" Dr. Roberts nodded. "Yes, but she'll need medicine, food, and plenty of rest. It's a good thing you found her in time." Emily looked down at Max, who sat quietly beside her, his big brown eyes full of concern. She reached down and hugged him. "You saved her, Max," she whispered. Word spread quickly through the neighborhood. The same people who had accused Max of stealing now saw him as a hero. They gathered around the Miller's house, eager to help. "I can bring some blankets," said Mrs. Davis from next door. "We have extra cat food," offered Mr. and Mrs. Lee. Even Mr. Thompson, the neighbor who had accused Max, showed up. He cleared his throat awkwardly. "I misjudged your dog," he admitted. "He's got more heart than most people." The Millers welcomed everyone's support. With the community's help, they set up a warm, safe space for the mother cat to recover. The kittens stayed with Max, who continued to care for them as if they were his own. He cleaned them, kept them warm, and even let them snuggle into his fur. It was clear, he wasn't just their rescuer. He had become their protector. Over the next few weeks, the mother cat slowly regained her strength. She started eating on her own and even licked her kittens lovingly when they crawled near her. Emily watched with a smile. "She's getting better," she said, stroking Max's head. "And it's all because of you." The once suspicious neighbors now admired Max's kids stopped by to see the kittens, and adults checked in daily to offer help. The Millers had never felt more connected to their community. Max's actions had not only saved lives, but he had also brought people together. Looking at her beloved dog, Emily realized something important. Sometimes, the most unexpected heroes come in the form of a loyal, loving friend. Weeks passed, and the mother cat grew stronger each day. With good food, medicine, and warmth, she slowly regained her energy. At first, she was still weak, but soon, she started standing, stretching, and even licking her kittens when they snuggled close. Emily watched with joy. "She's getting better," she whispered to Max, who sat beside her, his tail wagging softly. The kittens had grown, too. They were more playful now, tumbling over each other, meowing, and exploring their surroundings. But no matter what they did, Max stayed close, always watching over them. Even after their mother was strong enough to care for them, Max didn't stop being their protector. He still let them climb onto his back, nuzzled them when they were sleepy, and gently pulled them back with his nose whenever they wandered too far. One day, the mother cat surprised everyone. Instead of keeping her kittens away from Max, she curled up beside him, resting peacefully. It was as if she understood what he had done for them, as if she was thanking him in the only way she knew how, by trusting him. The Millers couldn't believe what they were seeing. A cat and a dog, natural opposites, had formed an unbreakable bond. Word spread quickly, and soon, the entire neighborhood came to see Max and his adopted family. Kids giggled as they watched the kittens play on Max's fluffy fur, and adults shook their heads in amazement. "This is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen," Mrs. Davis said. "It just goes to show," Mr. Thompson added, "kindness can come from anywhere, even from a dog rescuing kittens." The community had learned an important lesson. They had once doubted Max, but now they saw the truth. Sometimes, love and protection come from the most unexpected places. As the sun set one evening, Emily sat on the porch, watching Max and the kittens cuddle together in their little bed. The mother cat stretched beside them, purring softly. Emily smiled. "Max, you're the best dog in the world," she whispered. Max lifted his head, his warm brown eyes filled with love. He didn't need words, his actions had said everything. The Millers knew this was more than just a story of rescue. It was a story of love, trust, and the power of kindness. And as Max drifted off to sleep, surrounded by his tiny, purring family, Emily realized something important. Sometimes, the most unexpected friendships are the ones that change our lives forever.